Nice opinion. Just one tiny problem with it. Inspecting your post, it looks like your opinion is different from mine. Let me tell you something. I am the baseline for opinions. Any opinion I hold is objectively correct, and as a result, any other opinions are wrong. Guess what? You happen to hold a wrong one. I hope you know that your opinion is now illegal. I have contacted the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Navy SEALs, Secret Service, and your mom. You'll be sorry you ever shared your opinions. By the time you're reading this, you'll be done for. Nature will punish you. Humanity will punish you. Supernatural beings will punish you. Space will punish you. We decided just to make sure we'll nuke your house from orbit, so there's no chance you can run away. Everyone will know you will die. It's a small price to pay to remove your wrong opinion from this world.
All right, welcome back to another stream where today we're going Johnny update actually. So we're gonna react to these three, maybe kind of react to it live, maybe. But it seems like Johnny is probably stuck, so we're gonna react to the first one right here. So let's get going.
Missing shots you swear you should have hit, your sensitivity might be holding you back.
Okay.
That's where AIM Lab's new
Okay.
Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, had a small victory this week in a court case involving.
Okay, we did talk about that last week, but this is
Youngman, a Korean streamer. We're going to get on that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, checking in from Bali, Indonesia, where I'm doing a little workcation, getting away from the hubbub and the drama and all the stuff going on in Thailand, just to have a nice, peaceful experience where I can go out here and get some videos done. I will say over the next couple days, I'll be doing more fast facts as my internet connection and the adapter are too far away for streaming. So there's going to be a lot of fast facts coming out the next couple days. Hopefully you enjoy that. I'm rocking my nice tropical shirts this week. So we're going to be relaxing, making some fast facts. Hopefully you like the fast facts videos. You like this format. You like everything that's going on with the presentation. If you do, make sure you leave a comment below and we will try to get back to you and respond on that. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok. We now have TikTok at the.legal.mindset. And you can follow me over there. We're doing a lot of shorts. We're doing a lot of other content. So I'm very excited with the team I have to support me now, which are doing an absolutely amazing job. That said, let's get right into the PP. Let's get right into the actual facts of this Somali quote unquote win. And this definitely is something that needs clarification because there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of information, and not of anybody's fault, but because of some of the communication issues and some of the lack of understanding of the people presenting on this that don't understand what really happened here and how this is, it is a Somali win. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Once again, on The Legal Mindset, I'm very honest with you, one way or another. I may not like Johnny Somali, but that doesn't mean I'm going to lie about the law and pretend that he didn't come out of this better. So let's talk about what happened in this court case this week. So the next trial is, of course, still October 29th. So Johnny Somali's own trial, his trial, is still on October 29th. That is not changing. The witnesses are not changing. They still have 3 witnesses on the docket, Bong Bong, Youngman, and Hank. Now, because of what happened, Youngman is less relevant. In fact, while he's on the docket, he may just be dismissed. They may just say, okay, we don't need Youngman anymore because of what happened at the trial. Now, this trial of the streamer Youngman happened on October 22nd, 2025. Now, this was attended by the members of the SCT and Atozi. Atozi was there. Shout out to Grandpa Atozi telling me to stop cursing. And that's working out better on YouTube. But there needs to be a clarification because some of the things that were communicated have generated some misunderstanding. So first of all, Ramzi Khalid Ismail Somali was a witness during this trial. Now, this was a trial of Youngman. Now, Youngman faced not just a deepfake because he showed the deepfake of himself and of Hank making out half naked. Once again, it's a deepfake. He showed it on his stream openly, not as an accident. I believe it may have been shown multiple times. So essentially what happened was there was a kind of counters, right? There was, hey, you showed this, I showed this, we both showed this, so we're going to have charges against each other. Now, I actually know Youngman. In fact, I met Youngman. Here's me and Youngman. We did an interview, which I don't think I aired this interview, but I've talked about this. This was one that happened right before Youngman.
Thank you, Wayfair from Philippines. Thank you.
Mon, who's the guy over there in the jacket and the glasses, threw a brick through the courthouse, the very same courthouse that Somali was involved in during the incident involving the Yoon, I don't want to call it, coup or whatever, electoral kerfuffle, right, that was going on in South Korea. I
think that was during the martial law event when Korea was under martial law.
Much was against Yoon, and he went over to the court, threw a brick through the window, and he was arrested for that. So he's in jail.
I mean, that's going to happen if you do that.
He's currently in jail. Now, Yoonman's a very interesting character, and I can say this from having met him. He's very nice in person, and whenever you meet him, he's super nice. But he's sort of got this Jekyll Hyde thing where he'll be super nice with you, but then he'll go out and he'll say and do the exact opposite thing. So while he can be a very nice person, he often is led astray very easily and goes out and does things that are unpredictable and irrational. And, members of the SCT have met with his family and they've talked with him, and they'll get some footage related to Somali and related to other incidents. And, I feel bad for him because he has a very nice family. Members of the SCT have met his mom, very nice woman. And he seems to have a good side. He just gets led down these bad paths. So he's facing three charges of which could put him in behind bars for a very, very long time. So he had a strong interest to not be in jail for the rest of his life and get rid of these charges. Therefore, when you look at what happened with this case, you see that he decided to get rid of those charges the way he could. Now, what happened at this trial? So Ramsey, Johnny Somali, was a witness. And one of the most important things for us to remember is Johnny Somali lied a lot as a witness, and the prosecutors took him to task. Now, understand, this was not his trial, so they couldn't punish Ramsey as harshly for lying as a witness, but it's very important and very critical to show he is going to go into his own trial on the 29th, whether that's the last day or not. Remember, the 29th may not be his last day, and it's certainly...
Which was yesterday, if you're watching,
will not be the sentencing day. He will not be sentenced on the 29th. We're going to have a trial in November, December, some other time in the future. So he's not...
Of course. Yeah. Thanks.
Not going to be sentenced. So he lied a lot. He pretended to not know his address. This was relevant because one of the things that he was asked was regarding to stalking, because Yoon-man was accused of stalking him. So if you are stalked, you need to know where you are stalked, because where are you staying, right? Where's your address? We pretended not to know. Well, how are you going to not know and say you're being stalked? He knows his address. He just doesn't want to say it because of the lie that happened during the court of his own trial. He said he's moved. He said Hank said he moved, right, during an interview with the K-Town Social Club. However, with the court, Ramsey said he hasn't moved. So there's a conflict. Has he moved? Or hasn't he moved?
Also, not consistent storytelling as well. That's also a problem.
Was Hank lying? Or was Johnny lying? Right, whatever. Like, somebody's lying here, right? So he pretended not to know. He also was...
I mean, obviously, that is the truth. He's going to lie, make something up, try to get out, but then in trying to get out, he kind of digs himself a deeper grave. So I guess maybe eventually he learns, maybe tell the truth first, and then you won't be in bigger trouble later.
Was asked who owned the baton, because a big thing was involving this baton. It was an assault that allegedly happened with Yoon-man had the baton and allegedly hit him. But who owned the baton? Well, we all know it's Hank. We have the video to show it's Hank. It's clearly Hank's baton. Hank came out holding it. He was disarmed. And then, Yoon-man got the baton. So that was a big lie. So it just shows he's going to get on the stand and lie. And while he could get away with it in this trial, he will not get away with it in his own trial because he can be punished for that. And he can be, the judge can take that not kindly when it comes to sentencing.
Bad news. Your business is only using of its data. The other 80%?
So Yoon-man and Ramsey did agree to settle. Now, what does this mean? What this means is that they both said, hey, we're open to dropping the charges against each other. Now, prosecutors in Korea have discretion. They do not have to drop the charges if They don't want to. They could keep going forward. However, they typically will do that. They typically drop them if they both agree to settle. So it is not a guarantee. It is not a guarantee. And in this case, because both parties had a strong incentive, the prosecutors are like, all right, this makes sense. And Youngman is the real winner here. I mean, yes, Somali got 1 charge dropped, but Youngman got 3 charges dropped. Once again, Youngman not entirely sympathetic. He's not the most sympathetic person, but he's just thinking about himself. He's saying, hey, look, I've got 3 charges. I'm going to go down to 0. Ramsey's got 1. He's going to go down to 0. Okay. So what does this mean? What does this turn out? So what happens here is 1 deepfake charge is gone. Guys, look at that. We had 8 charges. He loses 1. Yes, that's 1 less, and that does matter. But he's still got all these other charges. And the maximum punishment, and this is very important, does not change. Let's go over to this. The maximum punishment is still 12 years. That has not changed. It's always been 12 years. Hasn't changed. The only thing that changes is each additional count of a crime, not a different crime, but an additional count. So once again, going back to show you, we have 4 counts of obstruction of business. So the maximum punishment for obstruction of business is 5 years, but each count increases the minimum under the guidelines. We had 2 counts of deepfakes. He still got 7 years max for that 1 deepfake with Bong Bong, but the minimum goes down. And he's got the 2 minor offenses acts. So right now, he's still facing 12. However, the minimum did decrease, and that is, once again, good for Somali. Somali should be happy about that. However, ultimately, when you look at the balance, he's still likely to get jail time. He's still very likely to get jail time. My estimate is
probably not the max, but probably, 7. But right now, they said it's looking at 10 years. Hopefully, it cools down to like 7.
It's anywhere between 1 to 7 years jail time, even based on this revision. So even based on this revision, my estimate is 1 to 7 years. Now, the judge, if he decides to lie on the stand, whatever else, could say, hey, I'm giving you the max. I'm giving you 12. That is still fully within the judge's discretion. There is nothing stopping the judge from going all the way to the max. But the minimum has dropped. So, okay, we're looking at somewhere between 1 to 7 years, something like that. Even if they're not treating it as aggravated, even if they treat it as default, right? I'm not going to say this is mitigated. This is not a scenario where this is a mitigated situation. He's never said sorry. He's never apologized. He's never paid anybody back.
I mean, the only time he said sorry, it was obvious he never meant it. That's how he's always kind of operated thus far. He apologizes when he needs to, but doesn't actually mean the apology he says.
None of that's happened. So 1 to 7 years, still very, very, very reasonable. So this is what's going to happen with Somali. We're going to see on the 29th where this goes. Do not give up on this case. Stay on this. We're going to be doing live reporting from that courtroom, which should be open for us at that particular moment. I will be on that completely, and we'll have some coverage perhaps the day before just to prep you guys for this. But I want to know what you guys think about the Somali case. Are you still interested? Do you still want to know what happens to the future cabbage farmer? Let me know. Smash a like, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, so give me 1 second. Okay,
Popeye's $6 Big Box is back. 2 pieces of signature chicken or 3 tenders, 2 sides, and...
all right, got it. Okay, so this is the this was released, I think, on the 29th. So this is the current court trial update that happened.
Z Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny
29th.
Somali, has suffered a surprise court loss and a change in what was
So he lost? No, that can't happen. That's impossible.
predicted, an absolute reversal in what we thought might be some minor good news, maybe a little W for Somali. No, Ramsey has suffered a massive, massive loss here today. And we're going to get into that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is the Fast Facts version, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. If you like the format, if you like the content, you like the Somali coverage, please make sure to like the video and support the channel. Also, if you want to support the Somali coverage, support me getting out there and do that, you can head over to my Ko-Fi and support the channel as well. But let's get right into it. Of course, I've got a nice PowerPoint for you to walk you through what happened in today's court battle. And once again, this is a battle which he decisively lost. And I was a little on the fence before. We were looking at some potential where he might be getting what he wants, but indeed he did not. So let's get into what happened. Of course, we've got 8 charges, one of which was removed after settlement with Korean streamer Jungman, but we still have all of these charges here, including one deepfake count. That's the one he's still fighting as not guilty, but everything else he's pled guilty to, including Minor Offenses Act, obstruction of business for 7-Eleven, the buses, twice for Korean propaganda, and Lotte World, one of which, and this becomes relevant, his lawyer decided to argue again today. So yes, his lawyer spent 30 minutes trying to argue a charge that he already pled guilty to, folks. I cannot make this stuff up. This is
Wait. So he's trying to argue a charge, but he already pleaded guilty. What's the point in doing that? That kind of hurts it more than anything.
unreal in terms of absurdity of illegal trials. And just to be clear, his maximum punishment is still up to 12 years. I still estimate anywhere.
Yeah, it's 12 to 12 years, but the likelihood of that happening is probably not that high. So it's probably 7 at, I would say 5 to 7.
Between 1 to 7 after he's sentenced. Now, we're going to talk about this. He may be stuck in Korea indefinitely. So if you count the fact he's been in Korea over a year now, it's going on over a year, and it's going to be way past a year, this is going to be an absolute L for him in terms of his time. So let's talk about what happened today. Today was a trial on October 29th, 2025, where there were 2 witnesses, Hank and Jungman. Now, Bong Bong was supposed to be there, the Bong Bong, the Korean streamer, and once again, the deep fakes were made of Jungman and Bong Bong, and she's in Australia, and she didn't attend. And the key here is this.
Yeah, you're in Australia, so you can't attend, obviously.
Trial is not going to stop until she comes in and testifies. So
okay, so it's in her court, so she could prolong the trial as much as she could. Just by not showing up. So it's kind of in her court to see how long, to prevent how long Johnny's stuck.
So they're going to keep bumping this to wait for her as long as it takes. So what happened today, which was very interesting and why I cut my stream short, and why if you just watched my previous videos, my previous streams, that's incomplete information. In fact, I was going kind of in one direction, and this is a really big reversal. This is a massive reversal. So everyone was removed from the courtroom under the judge's orders. The judge did not want anyone in there during witness testimony, whether the judge thought that might lead to intimidation of the witness or whatever else. They just didn't want anybody in there. So they removed them. And likely today what happened, because
judges' rules.
They set up the monitor and everything else based on what we know. They likely showed the deepfake as video evidence and entered that into evidence officially. So we now have the deepfakes, both of Jungman kissing Hank. That's one of the deepfakes. Once again, kissing is sexual in Korea. So that is a sexual deepfake. And beyond that, the multiple deepfakes of Bong Bong and Ramsey kissing and doing other sexual things. So the SCT, now at first they were said, hey, go home. Everybody go home. We're not letting you back in. Of course, the SCT, vigilant, my people there, and Atosi was there as well. They were waiting outside. They didn't leave. And it turns out the judge actually said, you know what? I like you guys, come back in. The judge actually wanted them to be there, wanted people to see the end after the witness testimony. So once again, Hank testified, Jungman testified. We don't know the exact details. We may be able to get those in the future, a little bit of those details in the future, at least some of them. But we don't know the exact details, but we did get a little bit of a summary afterwards, because they do kind of hit the major points when they get to the back half, kind of the closing of the hearing. So what we found out is obviously Bong Bong couldn't attend, but she says she'll attend next time. And we know Ramsey's lawyer, because after they came back from the break for testimony, Ramsey's lawyer made several bad arguments, like horribly bad arguments. Number one, they argued that Ramsey could not be guilty for the deepfake because there was no intent. So saying, hey, this was a thing where...
Okay, wait, there's no intent, even though for the deepfakes, isn't it? That doesn't make sense. Intent, but he distributed them, so yeah, there was kind of intent.
There's no intent, right? He didn't intend to harm her, and because of that, it doesn't count. Well, guess what? That's a horrible argument because this is a strict liability thing. It does not require intent. So there's no intent on this. It's similar to how you might deal with CSAM in the US, right? Where it's either you have it or you don't. If you do, strict liability attaches. The other argument he made is it wasn't sexual. And this is a horrible argument because under very established Korean precedent in terms of this area, kissing is considered sexual. That is embarrassing. That is something you would not want to do with a stranger that you do not know. And certainly a person like Ramsey would destroy your reputation, entirely because you don't want to be associated with this guy who is the pariah of all streaming and certainly hated across all Korea. The next funny thing was, and this is hilarious, Ramsey asked for an expedited trial. Ramsey got up there and said, Judge, I have family obligations, which is hilarious because we know Ramsey could care less about his family. He doesn't care about his family whatsoever at all.
I mean, his family also doesn't really, his family's kind of embarrassed to be associated with him as of right now. So that's kind of funny.
In fact, he's thrown them under the bus. He's yelled at them. I mean, he's fought with them. They've told him to stop doing what he's doing, and he won't do it. But he said, oh, no, I have family obligations. I have to get back. I can't do anything. No, Ramsey. That is not what is going on here. And the judge didn't buy it. The judge just was a very cool cucumber. He just calmly denied it. It's absolute Chad. And the judge added in, and this is very important for you guys to understand, the judge told Ramsey,
what if you were prepared for all those interview curveballs?
Some foreign defendants have been here waiting during trial for 6 years. Let me say that one more time, ladies and gentlemen. In Korea, there are foreign defendants whose trials, not the sentencing, just the trial, lasts 6 years. I've said it once and I'll say it again. For all you that are doubting the Korean process, the process is the punishment. Even if they are quote unquote light on punishment, if Ramsey is in Korea, if his trial takes 2 or 3 or 4 years, that is A-okay according to the judge. And let's be clear, if Ramsey had pled guilty and said he was sorry, this would have been over almost a year ago, or 9 months ago. It would have been over. But he's refused to do that. And as he's refused, more and more and more charges are piled onto his case. He continues to act out, do crazy stuff, and that's added to the case. We still have the child sexual harassment charges that are out there that could even be added now that this is going to be delayed. And by the way, this trial is going to be severely delayed. We're going to talk about the next trial date. So the other argument, which was hilarious and lasted 30 minutes, was his lawyer, Ramsey's lawyer, absolutely getting up there and making the horrible argument on the Lotte World charge. Once again, this is the obstruction of business charge.
And minors. Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Which he already pled guilty to. But he got up there and said, well, Your Honor, he shouldn't be punished because the prosecutor said the ride was shut down for 30 minutes. And technically, and like you could.
I mean, why was the ride shut down? Because of him and his loud noises. Other stuff that was involved with the loud noises, but the ride was shut down because of him. So.
You can imagine the nerd like adjusting his glasses.
Actually,
it wasn't shut down for 30 minutes. The judge did not buy this argument. The judge was not buying this argument at all because
that's kind of a dumb argument to start with.
Under the statute, under the way that obstruction of business works, it doesn't matter if it was shut down for 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 seconds. If you disrupt normal operations for any period of time, even a short period of time, it doesn't matter. You're guilty of obstruction of business. He shut that ride down.
That's obstruction of justice, regardless how long it was.
Down for a long period of time. Whether it was 30 minutes or 29 or 25 is immaterial to the fact that he disrupted operations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that would be appreciated.
Caused security to come out. He was making rude and lewd comments in front of children. That absolutely was disruptive to the normal procedures of Lotte World. So that was an argument that was not bought at all by the judge. The judge kind of threw out almost all of these arguments here, did not really buy these arguments at all. So what happened in addition to that? So after the process was kind of going, Hank had requested a private room for his safety. Remember, this is Hank, the big tough guy, the big guy who's ready to fight everybody, and he's a trained fighter and all this sort of stuff. He went to a private room for his safety because he was afraid of the spectators and what they might do. Ridiculous. And beyond that, several members of the SET and fans attended, and the judge seemed very receptive to their presence. Yes, he did invoke the rule of privacy during testimony, which is normal and happens a lot, but he allowed them back in, and that's something that's not normal. Even the bailiff was surprised by that. The other thing is, and I'm not going to spoil this too much, I want Grandpa Atosi to tell the story, but I just want to give a little teaser here for you guys. So Atosi did a quick on-the-spot interview with Ramsey, and Ramsey, in a very delusional way, said court went well, despite the fact he took all of these L's. He said it went well. And then he proceeded to, be Ramsey. And I'm going to let Atosi tell the story. I'm not going to tell the story for you. But let's say Ramsey being Ramsey, delusional as always. So let's get to what you guys want to hear. When's the next trial date? Next trial date is February 11th.
So that's, let's think, November, December, January. That's in 4 months. And that's not until the new year.
2026, February 11th of 2026. Let me point out to you how big of a deal this is. This next trial is not the last trial date. It is not sentencing. It's not closing arguments. This is just for Bong Bong to testify. So even if she comes to this, and we don't know, she might plan a trip to India or Sri Lanka or whoever else, Japan at that time. We don't know. Bong Bong's going to Bong Bong. She's going to do what she's going to do, right? We don't know.
Yeah, again, if she wanted to, she could prolong this as much as possible and go on a few trips before she finally comes back to Korea. Like, she's in Australia, she could go to New Zealand, Japan, Taiwan, China, then end up back in South Korea and each stay a week. So she could prolong him being stuck here for as much as she wants, within reason.
And if Bong Bong keeps missing it, they're going to keep delaying it. They're going to keep pushing it off. And so when you look at this case, even if she shows up, let's pretend she shows up, there's going to be a March trial. There's going to be an April trial because there's got to be closing arguments, got to be sentencing. So he's not getting out of there for a while. And that's if nothing else is added. And that's if there's no, sort of other things that come up procedurally. And we've seen with time, a lot of stuff coming up in the Ramsey Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali case. So my prediction is this is going to go far in 2026. I know that his roommate had planned to go over to China. Those plans may have to be canceled because this may be pushed well into summer of next year easily if there's any sort of other things going on here. So I want to know what you guys think about this, but I think this is a massive reversal, a huge loss. Ramsey really wanted to go home. He actually was complaining, this has gone on long enough, trying to sound entitled to a quick process. Well, guess what? You messed around.
You went to the country that you probably shouldn't have messed around in.
In Korea, and Korea is showing you the Korean way to handle things. Guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
All right, give me 1 second. And
Airwick's vibrant fragrances are infused with 2 times more essential oils.
Okay, there we go.
Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, is stuck in Korea indefinitely. We'll get into that today on Legal Minds, so we teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and I've been cataloging this Ramsey Khalid Ismail RKI case from beginning to end. And of course, we've got a PowerPoint to talk about it now. I did mention this briefly after my trial recap, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on some of the case law and why no matter how hard Johnny Somali begs, no matter how hard Ramsey begs, he is not going to get that speedy trial. So let's talk about that. So, of course, yesterday, Johnny Somali requested an expedited trial due to family commitments and stated he's already been in Korea a long
But there's no family to commit to since you've kind of said bad things about your family's embarrassed, yada, yada, yada.
time, complaining, moaning. Well, it turns out judge didn't care. The judge made it clear that some foreign defendants remain in Korea for up to 6 years just for their trials, and that's normal. The next trial date is February 11th, 2025, and there's likely going to be a new judge due to the regular yearly rotation of judges. So he's going to be there for a while, and that will not be his last case. That's just the next trial date. So what's the case law undergirding all of this, kind of supporting this? Well, in Korea, speedy trial is not like the United States. It's not a right that every criminal defendant gets. No, in fact, expedited trial is only for two specific circumstances. Either number one, a very simple, straightforward case where the defendant pleads guilty on all counts. So let's say they caught you red-handed. They know you're the perpetrator, and you're like, yeah, I'm pleading guilty to everything. Okay, that's expedited. Or if it's extremely high profile, like Park Geun-hye, Yoon, the Nth Room, it's got to be a very, 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 very high profile case to get that expedited trial. And that family obligation reason is not on the legal list of reasons that a trial should be expedited. Everybody has family obligations in Korea. Everybody is obligated to their family. That's not an excuse. And the other thing is, this is the real thing, which I'm just boggled that Ramsey is not, listening, I think, and is just saying these things, probably even without consulting his lawyer. The decision has to be made by a committee before the trial. It is not made during the trial. The judge is not going to all of a sudden, during the middle of a trial, expedite the trial. It's a procedure that has to be made at the beginning. So it's just something that is never going to happen under the Korean system and under the procedure for Johnny Somali. Now, why do I say indefinite? Well, if we look at what's going on here, Bong Bong can keep delaying by missing future court dates. Now, I'm not encouraging.
Yeah, so like I said, she can, it's kind of in her court to do whatever, if she wants to prolong it or if she wants to make sure it ends now, it's up to her.
Her to do that, but hey, if she plans a trip to Sri Lanka or Zimbabwe or Peru at the very last second, whoopsie daisy, Johnny Somali's just gonna have to wait because she's got to go and do those things and be bong bong and do bong bong things in the future. And that's something that really Johnny can't stop. Johnny can't do anything about, and the judge is going to let that slide generally, at least for the first couple times she would miss. Further, the new judge may need some time to get to speed on the case. So we're talking about having a new judge in this case is going to come in February, and in that case, the judge may need another month, another 2 months, etc. And there also may be new charges. We talked about the child sexual harassment. That can come up. There's other things that could be added as well. So things can be added to the case between now and February. We've seen that time and time again. And remember, all of this could have been avoided if Ramsey simply apologized and pled guilty. If he had apologized, if he pled guilty.
Yeah, if he just said, I'm sorry, or actually meant it, like someone that's actually sorry would.
Guilty, we would not be here today. Ramsey would already be on a flight, probably not going back home, but he would be on schedule to getting that flight at some point. Even if he got some jail time, he would have already served roughly a year of it. But that's not what happened because simply he denied everything. But guys, what do you think is going to happen with Ramsey? How long do you think he's going to be in Korea? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next.
All right. Okay, so one more.
Welcome to Visible Plus Pro, the ultimate wireless hack.
Okay, one more thingy.
That means our fast.
So going to talk about a bit more of the. I agree, actually. It's AP's fault I'm having ads. Yeah. It is 100% AP's fault. So, yeah, blame AP on this later. Tell tonight, tell AP it's his fault. I'm having ads. So yeah. But we're actually going to, actually talk about the thing at Twitch, actually. I th- I think this, I mean, also when the government thing comes back, I think Twitch might be done, and this is actually a legal thing.
Emaru versus Miskiff. There are giant allegations, some of which could be criminal, as we investigate this streamer on streamer battle. Of course, it's Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. This is the Fast Facts version of the latest in legal news. If you like the Fast Facts, if you like the format, make sure to like the video and leave a comment below. So let's jump right into it today with this, which is a highly requested topic with massive legal implications. Could be the streaming court case that I think might even go beyond the Ethan Klein versus Frogan and Denhams and Casey Tron, although that's a pretty crazy one as well. But this one is more personal in nature, and I think that's what makes it so interesting and so fascinating, albeit in a unfortunate way. So let me start with some disclaimers, of course, in my PP, my PowerPoint. First of all, I do not know these people. One of the fortunate things about being outside of the streamer bubble, which I pretty much define as the American streamers that pretty much all hang out together, that are all doing house parties, they're going out meeting each other. There's advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantages, of course, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what people are doing, you're not listening to, the latest tips and tricks, etc. But at the same time, right, and this is the important point here, you're removed from the drama and you're protected from it.
You kind of you're not in the conflict of interest part. I mean, I don't really know either. I know Amber more because, but from what I've seen, no one hates her. That's all I kind of need to know, even though I don't really know much, is that no one hates her. Most people hate the other guy.
I would not want to be at one of these alleged parties or events, etc., and have seen these things going down. That's just a giant liability. And to me, hearing what these things going down is a great example of why you should not date people that are effectively your coworkers. And in this
good point,
very case, we're going to deal with what can be intercompany drama, intercompany issues here. And one other thing that kind of popped out to me as a disclaimer is that streamers are kind of weird in the way that they operate, in the way that they manage their relationships, and the way that they deal with their interpersonal stuff. Now, I know that Emaru and others have said, hey, this isn't stuff they would bring up online. Private life should be private. And I very much agree with that. But airing out all of your dirty laundry of your relationship live for millions to see is just not really the way to go. And I think, looking at this, for all those that are wondering, hey, I want to become a streamer, you might want to think again, because there are various tolls, whether it's on your personal life, as you see here,
I mean, not like these people.
Relationships, mental health. There's a lot of things. Stress, I can speak to that. I've been very, very stressed out lately because it's a lot of pressure mentally, right? Not physically. It's not construction, right? It's not the hardest job physically ever. No, but there's a lot of mental pressure. There's a lot of social pressure. And that is
streaming is a hard job. Just kidding. No, it's not.
Very, very much true. But I will say one other thing as a disclaimer. I am going to focus on the law, as always, and focus on the, legal issues here at hand. But as a non-legal observer, taking off my handsome lawyer hat for a second, right? Moodang's wearing the hat right now. But we're taking off the hat. And we're
classic Moodang, the hippo from Thailand.
As just a human being who watched this, I do not find Miskiff to be very credible. His story is not looking good.
I would say the moment he says Emaru was violent when she threw clothes and plushies at me, all validity went out the window.
Is at a disadvantage.
It's basically the I stepped on a bee argument from Amber Heard.
Now, I cannot say with certainty, absent proof in court or other hard evidence, who is guilty.
Yes, but at the same time, innocent until proven guilty. But at this moment, Miskiff guy, whatever, I don't really care, looks really bad.
is not guilty, etc. But all of the factors right now favor Emiru. Emmy looks much more credible. Her presentation was much more credible. She seemed genuinely distraught versus Miskiff, who really only seemed distraught at the fact that this is going to ruin his career. He did not seem genuinely troubled.
Yeah, he didn't care except the fact that, his reputation might get hurt or this or that.
By this on a deep sense. Both of them need to be speaking to lawyers. I do think Emmy is doing that. I'm not sure about Miskiff, although I'm sure he's thinking about it now. If he's hatching all these crazy plans like using rabbits as blackmail material, I'm sure he's spoken to a lawyer at some point. I don't think a lawyer...
But was it a good lawyer is the question.
Reviewed his statement. I think he wrote down the statement and he just read it. If I was a lawyer and I was, advising him, I would not tell him to say the things he said. I would tell him to, keep that private and bring it up in court. But they decided to say it. And by saying it, there's pretty much mutual defamation going on. Now, I'm saying mutual defamation because somebody is telling the truth and somebody is not telling the truth, or perhaps both parties may be fabricating certain periods. Once again, I'm taking a neutral stance. I don't know. I have a bias based on my observations. I think Emmy is the more credible one so far. But from a neutral, taking out those non-legal observations, the defamation is there somewhere. Somebody is defaming somebody. So they need to speak to lawyers and get on top of that. So let's talk about Emmy first. I watched all of these videos. I sat today and watched all 3 hours of videos, including Asmongold's reaction to them. Shout out to the Roach King. I did think her presentation, once again, was very credible. And she also brought some receipts. She had the text messages, which was much more credible than the evidence that was brought by Miskiff, showing some random video of what could be any single rabbit's enclosure, or not even a rabbit. It could be another animal. Who knows? There was no rabbit in the actual video. That is very questionable. And it certainly does not, quote unquote, prove anything. And proving stuff online and social media really doesn't get you any points if you get hit with a restraining order, if you get with criminal, certain criminal sanctions, criminal penalties might happen there, or civil liability. That's not going to protect you. So I think she did a good job of presenting it. I know it was troubling. I know she was sick. But overall presentation by Emmy was good. So what are the main allegations in the criminal stuff and civil stuff I focused on? First, there's blackmail and coercion. So that is the aspect where if you go and speak out about a relationship, which is at the key here, and say bad things, etc., I am going to drop the rabbits, and we're going to get into the rabbits when we get into Miskiff, but I'm going to coerce you into not speaking. This is a problem for several reasons. One of which, once again, is these people were coworkers working at the same, under the same umbrella. There's a lot of issues when you're trying to coerce and blackmail a coworker. This can become a broader workplace issue. We know OSHA, right, guys? Real easy to submit that OSHA report. Not looking good on that, especially in Texas, under Texas law. There's also under Texas law, assault family violence. Now, understand this is domestic assault in Texas. That's how they brand it. And remember, assault is not actually striking somebody. It's actually just causing fear of imminent harm. So by punching holes in the wall and by doing other acts of violence, that could be construed as assault family violence. Once again, you don't need to be married for that. You can be a roommate, a boyfriend, etc. In Texas, that can fly. Now, there could also be sexual assault, maybe. Now, I'm very careful about this because we are, of course, in a, I don't want to say post-Me Too era, but I want to be very, very, very clear. We have at this point, a he said, she said story. Very difficult to prove those and very difficult to litigate those. Also, based on the factors, it seemed like, there was consent at one point, which was withdrawn. Okay, you let him kiss you, and then he jumped on top of you, said no, he got off. So there's some potential. Could it be essay? Yes, it could be. Could a court look at that? Once again, I'm taking a very neutral.
It's possible it could.
Legal perspective. Could a court look at that and say that's not essay? Also possible, right? So both of those scenarios, very, very possible there, but she could still try. She could still try to bring that claim. And I think that's the trouble for Miskiff, is that whether or not this is something that would ultimately be adjudicated guilty, being on trial for sexual assault does not look good for your career. There's also intentional infliction of emotional distress. It definitely seems on a civil side like that is a clear thing here. He was trying to afflict her with emotional distress. She seems distraught. She seems to have damages. She seems to have mental suffering and mental health from that, which is a very real thing. And I think she could bring that claim. So these allegations, once again, they are very serious, but I want to stress this. And this is the point which I want to get to Emmy, if she's listening to this. Emmy, you need to make sure you're taking official action. Now, I know you're getting a restraining order, and that's good. A restraining order is a good first step. But understand, your restraining order may be limited to just his physical presence. Okay, he physically can't come near you. Now, some courts are willing to issue a digital restraining order saying he can't talk about you online. That's a little bit more problematic, maybe not constitutional. Some courts will do it, some won't, might be overthrown. But what really should happen is a police report here of some kind, maybe EEOC, OSHA. Once again, they were working together. This could be a situation in which this was bleeding over into her work. And once again, what was key to her testimony, what was key to her talking about, not testimony yet, but her statements.
I mean, from what she said, it did kind of, affect the work as well.
Her statements were, I was streaming this, I was playing a tank in WoW, or I was streaming this game, and he was jealous and made me stop. That's a workplace issue. That's saying, hey, look, they're dating, they were coworkers, right? Working under the same umbrella legally. There you go. I mean, once again, seems problematic. A reason why you don't date your coworkers. These sort of things will happen with any relationship that's botched. And let me just,
especially if they're, not a great person, that also might, or they're easily jealous or something like that. Like he is.
Mention that the majority of relationships fail. So once you factor in that the majority of relationships, just dating casually, are going to fail. You are gambling on a game that you're going to lose. It's a stupid thing to do. Now, listen, have people done stupid things? Yes. Have people dated coworkers in the past? Yes. Look, I'm no saint over here saying it doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is it's a bad idea. It's a very bad idea. Beyond that, you could also do a civil lawsuit. And that's the thing I think would be most fruitful. Now, defamation might be difficult because you have to expose everything. And that's why I don't push defamation right away. I don't think Emmy should jump to defamation. I think she should start with something else like filing a police report, a workplace claim, or IIED, intentional infliction of emotional distress. With that, you're going to be able to go after Misgift. You're going to be able to get his messages, text messages, etc., depose people that talk to him. I think that would be a smarter move than perhaps going after defamation, but it's up to her and her lawyers and what they decide. Now let's talk about Misgift over here and this lovely, lovely fellow. I found
completely lovely, Shirley. Yeah, outstanding person considering everything that's happened. Obviously not.
That what he did was soulless.
I will say, before this ever happened, I always had a kind of sketchier. I always thought he was kind of sketchy and not a creative person, and it's kind of come out that has been the case.
And really just reading off a statement that obviously was prepared. He admitted that, but was not screened, filtered, or really considered harshly. Throwing a plushie or a blanket is not going to get a girl hit with a assault charge or a battery.
Yeah, that was when any validity of his argument or statement he could have made it's like that ruined any validity you had when you're saying she's violent. She threw a plushie and clothes at me or at the wall or whatever it was.
Charge. I'm sorry. That's not going to come to counter punching a wall,
okay.
Right? Those are not equivalent things. And perhaps I'm a little bit more hardened by this, growing up in South Florida, having one or two sandals thrown at me at some point, the chancleta. But that said, a plushie is not going to be that critical hit that takes you out. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know how soft you are, how much soy you've had for dinner, but that is not going to get a police officer in Texas to go slap some cuffs on Emmy and drag her to the police station. That's not going to happen. And the fact that
also clothes and plushies are not that hard. They're not going to make you bleed. They're not going to cause any fatally wounds on you. Unless it's one that's, I don't know. No, it's just not.
He thought his big bullet, his silver bullet, was those rabbits, is a joke. Now, animal cruelty is a crime. And so the thing he messed up on is he's accused her of a crime. So if she did not do that, that is clear defamation. So Emmy now has a claim, in addition to the IAD, a clear defamation case saying, hey, you are now accusing me of a crime, animal cruelty, right? Killing the rabbits, right? That is not okay. And here's my thing for Misgift. Misgift, bro, if you are so dead set on saying the rabbits are a problem, why didn't you report it to animal control or the local, whatever the local authority is that oversees animal safety and health in your region, right? We talked about Hassan, Collargate. We all know about.
I did not. Let me get it real quick. I'm assuming it's the first one. So, oh, this one right here. Okay, let me.
I'm ashamed that the situations got so bad, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me. So amazing that first year. But
Okay, that's what I thought.
as we stayed around longer,
Good evening. Austin is reeling tonight after a plush toy no bigger than a softball struck downtown with the force of a meteor, leveling several blocks and leaving a vast crater.
This object appears to be a standard plush mascot. We don't yet understand how it achieves such velocity or destructive power.
Burst in. The plush fell from the sky and was thrown with such violent force. Witnesses say it was definitely worse than if a person punched a wall.
bad, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me.
Destructive power.
What do we want?
Plushy bears!
When do we
Before we say enough.
Spiraled into a... I'm ashamed that the situation...
Okay, I'll watch the extended one. Yeah, I mean, Leaflet does say that it's non-DMC right here. So any streamers is DMC owned by me, so don't worry about it. Yeah, Mischief versus Team Kirby versus 8.
I'm ashamed that situations got so bad. I'm ashamed that the situations got so bad, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me. So amazing that first year, but I'm so gay. But as we stayed around longer,
Good evening. Austin is reeling tonight after a plush toy no bigger than a softball struck downtown with the force of a meteor, leveling several blocks and leaving a vast crater.
This object appears to be a standard plush mascot. We don't yet understand how it achieves such velocity or destructive power.
What do we want?
Plushy bears!
When do we want them?
Now! Save the kids!
Does anybody even need plushies?
No, not at all!
Cute but deadly.
When are we going to do the sensible thing and ban fully semi-automatic plushies? How many people need to die before we say enough is enough? You don't need 30 buttons on a stuffed animal. You don't need a cuddle capacity like that for hunting. These are weapons of squish destruction. You even need buttons on that? We can fix this.
Tonight, East Shelldale is reeling after a broad daylight clash between rival crews spiraled into a chaotic street battle.
Tonight, the heart of downtown Austin is unrecognizable.
Investigators tell us the plush was no bigger than a backpack, yet the impact leveled offices and shattered windows.
Bursted. The plush fell from the sky and was thrown with such violent force. Witnesses say it was definitely worse than if a person punched a wall.
Yeah, so that kind of memed. All right, back to the video.
I put out the information. All know about animal safety and health in your region, right? We talked about Hassan, Collargate. We all know about Collargate, and I helped out on Twitter, on X. I put out the information to contact the local animal services. So why didn't you contact animal services? If it's such a big deal, bro, where's the...
Good question. If her, to the rabbits, why didn't you report it if you actually knew about it?
report to animal services? Let's see it. Show me the Carfax. Oh, you didn't do that. You just want to talk about it for internet clout. You just want to get people on your side.
It's a virtue signal to make him seem like better than her.
You want to bring up, your mental health as a defense, which isn't a joke. Mental health is a very serious.
And also using you being Minecrafting yourself thoughts as an attempt to avoid any criticism is absolutely disgusting.
Thing, and people using it as a shield really undermines those that have legitimate mental health conditions. And it seems he may have even inflicted Emmy with a mental health condition, which would strengthen her IIED claim. So he really hasn't reported it. And beyond that, if it was under his roof, he might also be liable for it. So that is not really a defense. So if you're keeping animals on your premise and they are abused, you might be liable for that. If you're the co-tenant at an apartment or a house and you are jointly leasing that or jointly renting that, you're liable for that. It's under your roof. It's happening there.
Business checking has always been just checking. Until now, introducing U.S. Bank Business Essentials.
So that is not the legal bombshell he thinks it is. Now, if Emmy was lying about everything she said, which once again, I'm not saying she is, I'm just throwing out a hypothetical. If she was lying, then there would be a clear defamation case. Then he could clearly bring a defamation case.
Yeah, but from everything we've seen, it doesn't look like she's lying, even though we're current time, we're a bit hesitant to believe, people accusing people. But from everything we've seen, it looks like she's telling the truth.
However, I don't think he wants all of the messages, text messages, emails, etc., to be obtained through subpoena if he files defamation. And I think this strategy of leaking information not only could constitute blackmail, but it's idiotic, it's childish, and once again, it's not official. None of this is actually official. It's just meant to try to destroy her character, destroy her reputation, which once again would just add to her damages if she ever tries to sue you, even for something like IIED. In fact, leaking information to damage someone's reputation, especially very personal information, that very much could be considered intentional infliction of emotional distress. And so what I'm thinking with Miskiff and his absolute mockery of a counter is that you should be very concerned and lawyer up. And at this point, Emmy has a procedural, social, and evidentiary advantage based on what we've seen so far. Miskiff definitely needs a legal counter or he's in trouble. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Miskiff throw a lawsuit out there as a last-ditch gambit.
I think he did threaten to actually sue her, which kind of good luck, I guess.
As something, even Emmy said, a slap lawsuit, etc. Throw out some sort of lawsuit, which may be dismissed as it's filed, but it still would be a measure to try to stop this or cut back on this. We'll see what happens with that. A restraining order by itself is not going to be enough to end this dispute and is not going to be enough to put this to bed. There needs to be some other sort of action that's taken against whoever is responsible, once again being fair and neutral, likely Miskiff, right? But we don't know right now. There needs to be some sort of action officially taken with the police, EOC, OSHA, civil lawsuit, something to close the chapter on this and to find out what exactly was going on and to get all those details out there. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think is in the right on this one? I know it's probably people are thinking Emmy based on most of the polls, but let me know in the comments below and I'll catch you on
And me personally, I also tend to agree with that one. So that's the end of the stream. All right, so that's the end of the stream for this week, unless something else happens. Oh, so I have the thing last tonight. So that's this week, unless something happens. So I'll see you all later. Bye.
The unkillable Demon King, the first inductee into the Hall of Legends, and the greatest of all time,
Welcome to the Blizzard Arena.
And the quest for a champion begins today.
The anticipation has been building, and it is finally time. We are live.
That is a really.
You get over the roof there?
Oh my!
Oh my! What a play! What a grab!
Another jump here on the high ground. Super goes forward, but gets stuck off. The EMP comes in, and ding! He rains down hell from above. Here comes Pine. Gets one, gets two. Looking for a bit more, gets another one. Tuno down again. That heralds disaster generally for the fusion. They can't play one but far behind. Prophet! He's killed 4 players now on his own. From Vancouver, locks him in the sound barrier. Sound is huge. Another bomb coming in from China. Oh my God! He does it again.
Flutter now moving onto the Widowmaker, taking the clutch into his own hands. The headshot after headshot after headshot.
Okay, I like this for the Gladiators. We're gonna try and circle around. I'm gonna call this the merry-go-round because it makes me laugh, makes me happy, and short ball switches to the Widowmaker at just the right time. Oh, the Raven!
best jersey in the world.
You could have told me that you spoke English, honestly.
The fans never thought they'd see this day. It took 43 matches. Feels like a really emotional moment here.
Sorry.
All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.